Hey guys, it's TFNut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new McFarlane Toys Doom the Dark Ages Doomslayer Phalanx Skin version. I'm not exactly sure how to say that, but this here is basically, from my understanding, a re-release of the Elite Edition figure, which the big difference is here being a lot less accessories, as you can see here. We also have red as the predominant color instead of green. If they re-released the green version, I think a lot of people would have been mad who purchased the previous, Elite Edition. I believe there's also a plastic cloak here instead of a soft goods cloak, and instead of the Elite point system, wherever that is, we do have a redemption code for the actual skin here, so you can play this in game, which I think is pretty cool. I only got like halfway through this. I wasn't in love with this one here. I usually love these games, but this one really wasn't digging it. I think I'll try to get back into it at some point. But basically, packaging here does actually say McFarlane Toys and ages 18 and up there, so that's interesting. I feel like they don't go above 17, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we do have where it says Doom the Dark Ages. Nice logo there. We do have a nice backdrop there, but the figure's covering it, so you can't see it too well. But the figure's in the box with some of the contents that you see there. Probably not taking out the base or the card this time around. So just know it's probably a circular black base that says Doom. Doomslayer, then you have the image of what it's going to look like in the game as well. On this side here, it's just going to say Doom the Dark Ages. We do also have the id and Bethesda logos down here. The McFarlane Toys logo is actually going to be towards the top of these boxes on these sides. And then on this side, it's just going to say Doomslayer. This type of graphic going on there, it's not super noticeable. Like all this stuff right here. Again, id and Bethesda. Now we look on the back here. We get to the top and the light is really blocking this, but you do see where it says 22 moving parts and McFarlane Toys. It does say Doom the Dark Ages. Really cool art of that. That's really awesome. And it just in different languages says what the code is right there. This is on the cover of the box, of course. Now, if you're trying to find this, let me zoom in for you guys right there. It might be a little bright, but should be able to screenshot that if you need to. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Yeah, this is rough. Just gonna go right out and say it. I mean, this looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's a very nice looking piece. But this thing will not move whatsoever. And I don't really know what I was expecting. I mean, pretty much every Doom figure in this line is just a brick that doesn't move. It's basically just an over-glorified statue with a little bit of joints. I was hoping maybe a little bit more range of motion, but this might be worse than the Doom Eternal version. I'm really surprised by that. Still looks nice. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the accessories, and then we'll take a close look at the figure. As mentioned earlier, this does come with a circular black base, like a lot of McFarlane Toys figures, but it does say Doom on it, as well as it came with a code for the skin of this figure. So I'm just going to move right on to the actual accessories that this comes with. Again, it comes with a lot less from the Elite Edition, but this was in there. This, like, I believe it's a one-handed double barrel shotgun. This does look really sick. Really digging that a lot. I really do like, I wouldn't say there's rust here, but we do have a little bit of this dirtier type of gunmetal type of silver going around here. I do see some brown bleeding onto where it probably should just stay silver. Not on this side at least. It's definitely right here. On the back here, I do think it's getting just a little bit sloppy with some brown in there, but that still looks pretty good. This is a softer plastic piece. This is actually up here is a harder plastic. A decent amount of this is a little bit of a soft plastic, but still be careful. This thing is just really nicely sculpted all the way around, though. I'm really impressed with how they did this. Now, the big thing is that, yes, both hands that the figure comes packaged with can, hold this, but it's not going to look good. We have in and out joints for the wrists, which I'll talk about in a second. So you can't really make this go up and, the wrist go up and down to where it shoots straight. So posing this is going to be rather awkward, unfortunately. Then we do have a separate pair of hands, but they're not, the same type. We do have, figure comes with trigger hands for each side. We get one fist here, which has a lot of spikes here, so be careful with that. But I really dig how to do like this tarnishing almost, and then this is a more open hand. I'm digging what the chainmail type material looks like on the inside there. I guess it would just be chainmail, I guess. That looks really good, and they kind of like mix in some brown in there to make it look a little bit dirty. So I kind of dig that. Again, like the metallic here makes it look a little tarnished, and that's pretty sick. Pretty nice, like detailing all the way on the inside of the fingers too. On the inside, this here is a softer, or not softer, but a lot more smooth. No spikes here, so that's going to be easier to interchange. Instead of this fist switch, it's going to be a little bit difficult to do simply because of the spikes. Actually interchanging the wrists because of the quality of the pegs is not very hard at all. So here's an image of that with these hands in there. But this is also really the kind of the extent of the range of motion that you're going to get here. You could kind of make the hands and the both these hands come together, but it's not going to look that great of a pose, unfortunately. So not only do we have a few accessories here, which I get, they didn't want to include that much because we already had that more expensive Elite Edition, but the ones that we do get here, the articulation just really isn't going to do any justice. And again, we'll get to that section in a little bit. Now, what I will say is that I do think this looks, at least, quite good. I don't know if we have battle damage or sloppy paint in some areas, so let's talk about some things. We have some silver sections right here. This definitely looks like some dirt, and there's some silver there. So I'm going to assume that is maybe some battle damage they kind of caked on there. I'm not going to say low effort, but it's getting kind of close to that. They just kind of flicked some paint on there and then called it a day, is how it feels. Pretty nice yellow sections around the mouth section, though. But there is, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be there, too. This red section right there where it almost looks like things are being chipped off. The silver on there is really nice. We have a nice green visor, a little bit of silver in there that probably shouldn't be in there. And kind of like the rest of the outfit, we have this nice gunmetal type of paint where it does have this tarnished look to it. And I do think it looks quite nice. Around here does have some actual dirt detailing there, so I do like how that looks. Even in the neck, you can tell with that like really dark maroon type coloring, there's some gray in there to make it look like there's some dirt. And I'm really digging that. Back of the head here, you get all of that around there. Again, I don't know what's going on. That's like some kind of paint splotch or scuff or something. Looks like this has a little bit of soft plastic towards the neck here that's getting really bent in. And I think that could be because of this cloak. Not entirely sure. Spikes here are kind of, uncomfortable, but not too bad. Now we get to the cloak here. I definitely wish they would have kept the soft goods for this. I guess it would have been more expensive to do for the retail version. But it's really... I'm looking for paint, man, but it's just molded in this brown, and it's this pretty non-pliable type of brown plastic that's just going to flop back, and it's definitely going to get in the way of articulation in areas. So I guess when it comes to how it's sculpted, it definitely looks like fur, but it's not something I'm in love with. It's not god-awful or anything. I do like how they do the like brighter red on the armor here with these like... it's like a candy red almost. And then we have these spikes that you stick up here. These are a lot softer than the rest of the spikes on this figure. So, yeah, that shouldn't be too uncomfortable, I should say. We also have some dirt in here to make it look like, it's brown to make it look like dirt, I guess. Some silver on the outsides. Again, like the under sections have this nice maroon color there. Nice little, like, I don't know what these are supposed to be, but that has some nice silver there. Chest piece also has some great dirt and some red. Different types of red. This like candy red and a little bit of a darker red. I think that's supposed to be red on the Doomslayer. Like the normal green. Could be wrong about that. These look a little bit warped though, these little pieces. And then these sections here also have a little bit of like a black wash, I think, to kind of bring out those details. And even in like the muscles too, we have a little bit of a black wash going on there. Pretty nice muscle definition, man. You really, yeah. So that will pop out if the slightest movement, man. And again, I say this again. We'll talk about that during the articulation. I do have a timestamp for that, or at least I should. But that you just really are not going to get a good look what this looks like without me breaking this off and popping it out. I like this gauntlet section though. This looks great. Again, more tarnishing. All the detailing on that, like the silver, the paint. That looks great. That's what the inside of the hand looks like there. Yeah, that big old joint really destroys some of that chainmail, but I guess that's the only way they can think to get that articulation and range of motion in there. That's what the bottom of that gauntlet looks like. And then we get to this gauntlet that has more spikes, and this is going to be a lot more uncomfortable, but still looks really great. Really digging that. It looks like there's some straps here, but they're completely painted silver. I don't know if they're supposed to be, or if there's supposed to be some brown in there, like a leather material. The hand for here, it's not bad. Again, a little uncomfortable there. I only mention that because you are going to need to, if you're going to use the articulation, bending that is really going to be annoying when you're grabbing that. Okay, so again, some silver tarnished armor plating in the abs here, which look great. They're layered on top of each other in a sculpt that looks fantastic there. I do like that chainmail, but I'm really not getting a good look at it because the arms get in the way. That chainmail looks great. Pouches also have some nice brown, almost leathery material for that plastic, and a little bit of a dark wash in there. It looks fantastic. It looks like they've got some glue in there for this soft plastic chain that goes all the way on the back here. Didn't even mention the back of the figure. You probably get a better look at how this looks with the Elite Edition with those soft goods, but the spine section looks fantastic there. I'm really digging that. This little loincloth too, some really tattered stitching going on, and then you see chainmail there. All that looks pretty awesome. There's chainmail on the front here, some tarnishing. The leg armor too, lots of nice plating stacked on each other. Really large sections there, and it's really fantastic. And that maroon section, again, they don't have any straps like color accurate, I don't believe. But still doesn't look too bad. You're not moving these thighs, man. Just letting you know. And then we do have the, again, maroon around the knee there. It kind of has this layered section on this like under suit, whatever it would be for the armor. Some of that is bleeding onto this, so that's a little unfortunate. Get down to the shins, we have more of this candy red type of paint, plastic I should say. There's a little bit of paint of mostly like some gray and brown to make it look dirty. One side here has these spikes right there on the front. They're actually not too unmanageable. They're fine. Actually, this feels a little bit sharper for some reason. Actually, both these sides feel a little sharper. Yeah, they're not great to mess around with, I would say. Straps, once again, around the armored sections. Not looking too bad. Plating and all that still looks great. That's what the bottom of the boots look like. That actually looks fantastic with that treading. Really digging that. A little bit of dirt on there, too. That's what the back looks like, too, for the back of the legs. So, I feel like there are some paint splotches that shouldn't be here. A decent amount of that I could chalk up to battle damage, but the rest of the actual detailing in like certain areas of metallic tarnishing and all that look fantastic on this figure. What isn't fantastic is the articulation. I'm done beating around the bush. Let's talk about it. This head will not move up at all. I guess that range of motion is better with the Elite Edition with the soft goods cloak. Moves down, actually not horribly. This is definitely a dumbbell joint because it does kind of want to go side to side like this. Really won't. And then you can get a little bit of a swivel there, but all of that will get in the way. You're not getting great range of motion. Once again, watch this. That is very little effort of me trying to move the arm all the way in and out, trying to go like 90 degrees at the body. It does do it. You can, get that articulation in there. They engineered for it, but this is so huge. And then I think even parts of this section right here are getting in the way of in this socket. And I'm trying to find it. Pop that in and it goes right back in, but it really won't move out at all. And then swiveling like all the way around gets snagged at some point. So, I mean, you can theoretically do it, but really will not move. We have less than 90 degrees at the elbow, single joint. I get it, guys. He's a muscular guy. He's also in a first-person shooter, but at the very least, let's get the arms to do some good, range of motion. Because it's just not going to look good when you're posing it. I'm sorry, he does action poses. Maybe not like Spider-Man, but more than just sticking out his arm like that. Come on, man. There's no way you can't engineer for that. I guess at the price point that they have to work with, they have to. Anyway, swivel at the wrist here, forward and back on that hinge. These kind of come loose a little bit. Ball joint going back isn't great. It's really not great here. It wants to go forward because this wants to make it stick. It just wants to go forward all the time. It is out of ball joint, so it can swivel a little bit up in here and then go side to side. But then you also, oh man, you do have a little bit of a ball joint here, but it really doesn't want to move at all. Legs, this is a soft plastic piece, so I'm just gonna, I don't know if I can even speak anymore for it. Just gonna have to show you, I guess. No thigh swivel, of course. That's fine. That's a pretty good range of motion for the legs. Yeah, that's not great either, but I don't expect it to be that much. At least the arms, I really wish would have been better. It's just, honestly, I feel like it's a little worse than the Eternal version. I don't have the classic Doomslayer from Eternal anymore. I sold that a long time ago. Swivel's there. Can go up and down. I believe they did engineer an ankle rocker, but that's not moving. So, yeah, that's rather disappointing. I have a lot of bulky characters in here, so the frame looks a little squished, but we are looking at about 18.5 centimeters here. So that will put this pretty close to 7.5, actually 7.25 inches tall. This somehow is it's like maybe a couple centimeters shorter than the Eternal Doomslayer. I don't know if that's supposed to be accurate at all. I will say, I think the proportions on the new one are better than the previous one. I never really got to mention that. You can see just how short it is, though, compared to the T60, which actually has a better range of motion just slightly compared to this new figure. Over on the left and right, we have Marvel Legends Punisher, and then that Imperial Commando that I just recently reviewed. They're going to be way shorter. Bottom line is I am not very happy with this figure. I seem like I'm pretty harsh about it, but I'm just being honest. Every time I get a new Doomslayer from McFarlane Toys, I am more disappointed than the last. And it's clear that they're not interested in doing any demons anytime soon. So if I'm being honest, and I'm going to sound a little harsh, they should give up the license. I'm not going to lie. It does not seem like McFarlane Toys wants to put forth a lot of effort into... They really just want to capitalize off the new Doom name and just... You know, make it look nice and then send it on its way. That's one thing I'll give it. This looks really good. I really like how a lot of the metallic finish, especially the brighter silver tarnishing, looks on this figure. The red coloring on here is actually quite good too. A lot of the sculpt work is really nice. I'm sure it will maybe look a little bit better on the Elite Edition. I'm sure paint apps wouldn't be as splotchy as my personal copy here compared to an Elite Edition, and that soft goods cloak would probably be less of a bother on that compared to this one there. And I get it. They have to make this a little bit cheaper compared to that $50 version. And by doing that, they also, give you less accessories, and I'm fine with that too. But articulation is the biggest problem here. It really can't do any good posing. I understand this is a bulky dude in a suit of armor. A lot of people say, realistically, you're not going to move around like that. And I kind of disagree, because you have characters like Hulk, The Thing, and even real people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's super jacked. And you have a lot of action figures of those characters that can do a lot. The bare minimum I expect of a Doomslayer would be to at least have some okay looking first, one-handed gun poses. It'd be great for two-handed gun poses, but he can't even do that because his wrists don't have a good way to do good one-handed poses. And anytime you want to move his shoulders, pops out completely. So yeah, I don't really know why it sounds like it's crazy for me to expect some action in an action figure, but if it sounds crazy for me, then I'll die on that hill, I guess. I'm just not happy with it, and yeah, I really am not interested in any more Doom figures from McFarlane Toys. I guess wait to see if Good Smile or other companies will do something, but I'm just not very hopeful for Doom figures in the future. So that's it. See you guys later.